The crystal war hall of the Zareth Dominion shimmered with shifting colors as the three alien princes stood together at the center, each one trying to look more victorious than the others. Prince Vakar, tall and sharp-scaled, lifted his chin proudly. Prince Shylock, with his silver skin and careful eyes, kept checking the reflections in the crystal walls, as if making sure he appeared glorious enough for the victory celebration. Prince Rennet, the youngest, bounced on his feet with nervous excitement, hoping the elders would finally take him seriously. Servants hurried around them, setting glowing banners, preparing ceremonial drinks, and adjusting the music stones. The whole palace buzzed with anticipation. They believed they had done something great. They believed they had defeated the first wave of a human military invasion. The reality, however, was very different. In the far corner of the hall, Admiral Tharo waited quietly. He was old. His horns dulled from years of command, and his eyes lacked the excitement that filled the rest of the room. He knew the truth behind the report, but the princes were too eager to celebrate, too eager to impress their father, the Dominion Emperor, who had not yet arrived. When Vakar saw the admiral standing alone, he approached him with a confident smile. "You look unhappy, Admiral," Vakar said. "You should celebrate. Our first victory against the humans will make the Emperor proud." Admiral Tharo bowed slightly. "I am always pleased to serve the Dominion, my prince. But I fear this victory is not what it appears." Shylock turned toward them. "Nonsense. We cornered the intruders. They did not even fight back. They were slow, unarmored, and almost helpless. If these were humanity's scouts, then the humans are weaker than rumors say." Rennet jumped in. "Yes, and their vessel was small, barely even a warship. It was like they were drifting through our territory without care." Tharo nodded slowly. "Exactly my concern, my princes. They were not soldiers. They carried no weapons. Their vessel had no targeting systems. Everything about them says they were explorers, not invaders." Rennet blinked. "Explorers? So they knew they were in a restricted region and came anyway?" "They were mapping stars," Tharo answered. "Their ship's records show peaceful intentions. They didn't even try to hide their path." But the princes did not want to hear this. This was their first real action since being allowed to command a patrol fleet. And they had been desperate for a victory to show the Emperor they were ready for greater responsibilities. If the humans they encountered were explorers, then their victory was nothing more than an accidental assault on unarmed travelers. Vakar's face darkened. "Admiral, you sound like you want to weaken our accomplishment." Tharo raised his hands carefully. "Never, my prince. But we must understand what we have done. Humans value their explorers deeply. The loss of even one could bring serious consequences." Shylock frowned, lowering his voice. "You think they will retaliate?" "Thax. 2. Tharo's breath shook. "I think they will respond. What form that response takes, none of us know." Before the conversation could continue, the great doors of the war hall slid open with a heavy echo. The music stones fell silent. Every servant froze. The Emperor entered, wrapped in a flowing dark cloak that flickered with faint blue energy. His presence was powerful, and the princes straightened instantly. He approached the three princes, his expression unreadable. "I received your transmission," the Emperor said. "You claim to have repelled an early human advance into Dominion space." Vakar stepped forward proudly. "Yes, Father. They were weak. Barely a challenge. Our forces handled them with ease." The Emperor looked at him for a long moment. Then he turned to Admiral Tharo. "Speak. Truth." Tharo bowed. "Your Majesty, the human vessel carried explorers. Unarmed. They did not fire a single shot, nor show any aggression. We believe the princes may have mistaken their presence for a threat." The Emperor's eyes shifted sharply toward his sons. The air in the hall seemed to tighten. Rennet swallowed hard, realizing only now the seriousness of their actions. Shylock tried to defend them. Father, the humans were in our territory. That alone is reason for suspicion. Suspicion is not justification, the Emperor said firmly. And now, we must deal with the result. He raised a hand, and a communication officer stepped forward with a small data slate. We have received reports from the border systems, the officer explained. Disturbances. Fleets losing contact. Outposts going silent. No signs of attack. Yet something is interfering with our sensors and energy grids. The princes exchanged uneasy glances. What do you mean, outposts are going silent? Rennet asked, anxiety rising in his voice. No alarms, the officer said. No distress signals. They simply stop communicating. Vakar clenched his fists. This must be a malfunction. Tharo shook his head. Reports from independent traders say the same. Something is moving through our territory, and we cannot track it. The Emperor turned slowly to his sons. If the humans have responded, they are doing so quietly, and that is far more dangerous than open war. Silence hung in the hall. Even the music stones dared not hum. Shylock stepped back as reality began to settle over him. We attacked harmless scouts, and now their people come for answers. The Emperor's voice was heavy. Humans are known for patience, but also for decisive action. They will not ignore the loss of their explorers. Rennet whispered. What will they do to us? No one answered. Even Tharo could only look toward the shimmering crystal ceiling and hope the reports were exaggerations. But deep in his heart, he knew they were not. The human Scouts Corps was not large, but its reputation across the galaxy was well known. They were not warriors, but they had access to the full support of Terran engineering, Terran intelligence, and Terran protection. Wherever they traveled, their homeworld ensured their safety. And when harmed, humanity did not rage blindly. They acted with calm, unstoppable precision. The Emperor dismissed the hall with a single wave, ordering immediate defensive reviews and communication lockdowns. The princes followed him out, their earlier smiles completely gone. For the first time, they felt fear, not because of war, not because of open threats, but because they realized something far worse. They had not defeated humanity's soldiers. They had provoked humanity's attention, and that was something no empire in the galaxy wanted. While the Zareth princes struggled with fear and confusion, humanity was already moving with calm precision on the other side of the stars. The Terran Scout Corps Command received a silent distress alert from the missing exploration team. It was nothing more than an automated ping, triggered when contact was lost for too long. But for humanity, even a weak signal was enough. Commander Alina Reyes stood before a holographic display showing the last known route of the missing scouts. Her expression was serious, but steady. She was known for her patience, her logic, and her ability to act without panic. When she spoke, her voice carried quiet authority. Confirm the location of the last signal, she ordered. A technician tapped several keys. Sector 12 Beta. Commander. Inside Zareth Dominion space. Alina crossed her arms. Any communication from the Dominion? None. They haven't responded to our polite queries. Another technician added. There are also energy fluctuations in that same region. Multiple Dominion stations have gone dark. Alina nodded once. They were attacked. The room went silent for a moment, until one officer hesitantly asked, Do we assume hostile intent? No, Alina said firmly. We assume mistake. Not all species understand our scout procedures, but we act carefully. We retrieve our people. We protect our borders. And we do this without harming anyone, unless absolutely necessary. She turned to her second in command. Prepare Recon Task Force 7. Minimal crew. Highest stealth settings. We enter, gather information, retrieve survivors, and exit. Within hours, Sleek black Terran vessels, silent, small, and advanced, far beyond most galactic standards, slipped into space. Their engines made no sound. Their heat signatures were nearly invisible. They traveled like shadows. This was not a war response. This was humanity simply checking on its missing explorers. Meanwhile, back in the Zareth Dominion, panic was quietly spreading. The princes sat inside the Imperial Strategy Chamber, with Admiral Thero and several high-ranking officers. Everyone looked tense. A hologram showed a map of the affected region. Whole clusters of stations were marked red, offline, unresponsive. Shylock pointed at the map with shaking fingers. 14 outposts, 3 minor fleets, all out of contact, but there is no sign of enemy fire. How is this possible? It is possible, Thero said carefully. Because whoever is entering our space is not attacking. They are disabling. Renat leaned closer. Disabling? Without firing? Thero nodded. Yes. Dominion ships are built strong, but even our best systems are vulnerable to advanced hacking or electronic interference. The humans are known for technology that outperforms ours in certain ways. Vakar tried to hide his fear. So, they are already here? Inside our territory? Thero sighed. I believe they are. Moving quietly. Measuring the damage you caused. The princes flinched at his words. Before they could argue, the chamber doors opened again. The Emperor entered, looking more serious than ever. He moved straight to the central table. We have new reports, he said. A patrol fleet encountered something unusual at the edge of the affected zone. Shylock held his breath. What did they see? A light, the Emperor said simply. A pulse of energy that shut down their sensors for 3 seconds. When the systems returned, an entire squadron of drones was gone. No explosion. No debris. Renat's eyes widened. Their drones were taken? Or moved, the Emperor said. Or disabled. We do not know. Silence again swallowed the room. Vakar finally spoke, though his voice was lower than usual. Father, the humans are responding to what we did, aren't they? The Emperor looked at him, and for the first time, Vakar saw disappointment in his father's eyes. They are here because of your mistake, yes. The princes lowered their heads. For young nobles raised in luxury, the weight of their actions suddenly felt like a crushing stone. The Emperor continued. Humanity does not send large armies. They send small, effective units. If they are already inside our territory, then they are not here to destroy us. Shylock swallowed. To retrieve what they lost, the Emperor said. And to ensure it never happens again. Far away, in silent space, the Terran task force reached the same region. Their ships moved without bright lights. Their presence barely detectable. They scanned each abandoned outpost with precision, recording every detail. One pilot whispered over comms, Commander, I see no bodies, no signs of violence. Good, Alina replied. That means they evacuated or were taken as prisoners. Keep searching. Inside a dim Zareth station, the humans discovered something odd. The interior lights flickered, but everything else was untouched. No broken doors, no scattered objects. It was as if the station had simply decided to power off and sleep. A small robot drone hovered forward and projected the station logs. They shut down because they were scared. One officer realized. Automatic defense mode. Humans approaching triggered a safety lock. Not humans, Alina corrected. Something else. Something or someone forced the Dominion systems to react before we even arrived. That means another interference is already happening. Another vessel reported in seconds later. Commander, we detected traces of Dominion weapon signatures around the missing scout ship's wreckage. It was definitely destroyed by them. Alina's calm voice darkened slightly. Record everything. We'll show them the evidence later. They will answer for this. But her tone carried no anger, only firm responsibility. Back in the Dominion, the Emperor reviewed the same information, but from the opposite perspective. The princes sat nervously on the side. "We should try to contact the humans," Renat said suddenly. "We should explain." Vakar looked shocked. "We already look foolish," Shylock said quietly. "Better to look reasonable now." The Emperor considered his son's words. "There will be a time for communication," he said. "But not yet. If we call them now, it may appear we are confessing guilt." Tharo spoke gently. "With respect, Majesty, we are guilty. The humans know it, and they will come here eventually. It is better if we speak before they decide how to judge us." The Emperor closed his eyes for a moment. He knew this was true. Every instinct he possessed told him humanity was already deep in their space, watching, analyzing, preparing. "What do we do now?" Vakar asked softly. "We wait," the Emperor said, "and we hope they come to talk, not to punish." In the quiet of deep space, the Terran task force turned toward the heart of Zareth territory. They had gathered their evidence. They had confirmed the destruction of their scouts. Now it was time to deliver a message. Not of war, not of revenge, but of human resolve. And the princes, sitting in their palace and trembling in silence, had no idea how close humanity already was. The Zareth Dominion was not used to silence. Their borders were usually loud with ship traffic, patrol voices, and endless transmissions. But now the silence felt heavy, almost painful. Every few minutes, someone in the palace strategy chamber would check the communication logs again, hoping for some sign that the strange disruptions had stopped. Nothing changed. Prince Vakar paced back and forth, his claws tapping nervously against the crystal floor. "This is unbearable. If the humans are here, why don't they show themselves? Why hide in shadows?" Admiral Tharo answered calmly. "Because they do not want war. If they wanted to attack, you would already know. They prefer to understand the situation fully before they act." Shylock rubbed his temples. "Understand the situation? They already know what happened. We fired on their explorers," Renat said quietly. "They are gathering proof." The Emperor stood near the center table, his expression unreadable. "Let them gather what they need. When they confront us, we must be ready to speak truth." Vakar froze. "You expect us to speak to them? Directly?" The Emperor turned slightly. "You three caused this situation. You will face the consequences with me. That is how responsibility works." Renat lowered his head in shame. Shylock avoided eye contact. Vakar let out a frustrated breath but said nothing. Before more could be discussed, a large crystal panel on the wall flickered. At first it showed only static. Then the image sharpened into a map of Dominion space, highlighting the region where the disturbances were happening. A strange signal pulsed through the map, soft but precise. Tharo leaned forward. "This is a human signature. They are close." The Emperor nodded. "Then, we prepare." Across the stars, humanity moved with quiet purpose. Commander Alina Reyes watched the Zareth map appear on her own ship's holoscreen. The task force had collected all the data they needed. Destroyed scout vessel, the path of the Dominion attack fleet, and the evidence of forced system shutdowns that followed. Now came the most important step: making contact. Alina stood with her hands behind her back. "Set our signal to wide broadcast, but low power. I want them to know we're here, but not feel threatened." "Yes, Commander," a communications officer replied. A gentle tone filled the ship as the message was prepared. "What will you say to them?" another officer asked. "The truth," Alina said. "We found our lost scouts. We know what happened. And we want answers, but we will not start a war for it." Her voice held no anger, only firm resolve. The human ship emerged from stealth, its dark hull reflecting the faint light of distant stars. It did not activate weapons, did not raise shields, did not show aggression. It simply existed confident, silent, present. The broadcast began. This is Commander Alina Reyes of the United Terran Concord. We are here to retrieve our missing explorers and to communicate with the Dominion leadership. We seek only conversation. Her words traveled across the region, entering Zareth communication systems before anyone in the Dominion could stop it. The signal carried no encryption, no hidden codes. It was simple and open, a sign of trust, but also a sign of strength. Inside the Zareth palace, the princes and officers watched the message repeat again and again. Vakar whispered, "She sounds calm. Too calm." Shylock shook his head. "No threats. No insults. She is giving us a chance." Renat stared at the display. "Her ship looks small. Is that all they sent?" Admiral Tharo responded, "Humans often send small ships for diplomatic missions. Do not let the size fool you. Their technology is advanced. That one vessel is enough to disable several fleets if provoked." The Emperor stepped forward. "Open a channel. We cannot ignore them." Servants rushed to activate the palace communication chamber. The crystal walls shifted, forming a large oval display. Static shimmered across the surface, then cleared, revealing Commander Alina standing on her bridge. Her presence was steady. She looked directly at them with calm eyes. "Emperor of the Zareth Dominion," she said respectfully, "I appreciate your willingness to speak." The Emperor stepped into view. "Commander Alina Reyes, you have entered our territory without permission. Yet we know why you came." Alina nodded. "Yes. We lost contact with our explorers. We found their ship destroyed. We found no signs of rescue attempts or communication from your people." Shylock's scales shifted uncomfortably. Renat looked like he wanted to disappear. Vakar forced his shoulders straight. The Emperor replied, "There was a misunderstanding. My sons believed your explorers to be a threat. They acted too quickly." Alina did not react with anger. She simply asked, "Did you attempt to communicate with them before opening fire?" The princes stayed silent. The Emperor answered, "No, they did not." He stepped aside slightly. "These are the princes responsible." Alina studied them with a steady gaze. "You attacked unarmed explorers, but you did not harm them personally. The records show they were still alive when their ship was destroyed." Tharo stepped forward. "We recovered the explorers' bodies afterward and transported them to a medical facility. They are safe." Shock flashed in Alina's eyes, but she breathed slowly. "Good. Then our first priority is retrieving them." Renat finally spoke. "Commander, we are sorry. We truly believed they were scouts of war." Vakar added reluctantly, "We acted with pride, not wisdom." Shylock nodded. "We will accept any responsibility the Emperor decides." Alina listened carefully. She saw no arrogance in them now, only fear and regret. "Humans do not seek revenge," she said. "We seek understanding." The Emperor bowed his head slightly. "Then let us discuss terms." But before they could continue, a new alert suddenly appeared on the human ship's screen and the Dominion display at the same time. Something large and powerful was moving through the region, something neither side had summoned. A deep hum echoed through space, vibrating through both ships' sensors. Alina frowned. "That is not one of ours." Tharo checked the readings. "Nor ours." More signals appeared behind it, unknown. Non-Dominion. Non-human. A third force had entered the region. Drawn by all the confusion and silence, the Emperor stepped toward the screen. "Commander Reyes, it appears we may have another problem." Alina gave a short nod. "Then let us solve it together." For the first time since this crisis began, the princes felt hope instead of fear. Humans had come, not to punish them, but to talk. And now, facing a new danger, the two sides would have to stand together. But none of them had any idea how serious this new threat was, or how quickly everything was about to change. The palace chamber fell into uneasy silence as the strange signals repeated across every Zareth screen. Commander Alina Reyes and the Emperor stared at the same growing disturbance, neither side knowing what the new arrival meant. Only one thing was clear. It was not human, and it was not Zareth. Prince Rennet stepped closer to the display. What? What kind of ship is that? I've never seen this signature before. Admiral Tharo frowned. It is not a ship. The energy pattern is too scattered, almost like several small objects moving close together. Shylock's eyes widened. Drones? Not Zareth drones, Tharo said. On the human bridge, officers quickly analyzed the readings. Commander, the objects are forming a net around this region, one officer reported. They are blocking exits and entrances. Alina's calm expression grew slightly sharper. They're trying to trap us. And the Dominion. The Emperor overheard this through the open channel. Commander Reyes, we assure you, this is not one of our tactics. I believe you, Alina replied. Vakar swallowed hard. So, a third force saw our conflict and decided to enter. It seems likely, Tharo said. They may think we are distracted or weak. Rennet whispered. Then, we must work together now. We have no choice. Alina nodded once. Agreed. Let us share sensor data. We need a clear picture. The Emperor tapped his wristband, sending full access to Dominion sensor maps. Moments later, the Terran ship uploaded its scans. When the two datasets merged on the main hologram, everyone in both places drew in a breath. The unknown force was large, far larger than anything the Dominion had expected. Dozens of small craft formed a wide ring around the affected region, slowly tightening like a closing fist. At the heart of the formation was a much larger object, pulsing with steady energy, almost like a heart pumping light through its veins. Shylock whispered. What is that central structure? No idea, Tharo said, but it is powering the entire formation. Alina studied the model carefully. They are not preparing to attack yet. They are observing, measuring us. Vakar asked softly, do they know we're watching them? They must, Alina said. Their technology is advanced enough to hide from most Dominion systems. But they didn't hide from us. She paused. That means they wanted us to notice. Ender. The Emperor spoke in a deep voice. What do they want? Alina answered honestly, I don't know. But we must assume they are hostile until proven otherwise. The Emperor nodded. Agreed. For a moment, both sides simply watched the hologram rotate. The strange formation moved with purpose, like a living creature closing around prey. If they didn't act soon, both the Dominion and the humans would be trapped inside. Alina broke the silence. Emperor, we need to meet in person. The princes all turned in shock. Vakar stammered. In person? Here? That could be dangerous for you. Alina smiled slightly. Humans are not afraid of diplomacy, and I believe trust must begin somewhere. The Emperor straightened. Very well. You may land your ship on our central platform. I will welcome you as a respected guest. Shylock whispered to his brothers. She's brave. Or very confident. Tharo added quietly. Perhaps both. Alina gave one final nod and ended the transmission. Within minutes, the Terran ship descended smoothly toward the Zareth Palace landing zone. Its dark hull reflected the Dominion towers, making it seem like a shadow gliding across shining stone. Humans did not need large escorts. The small ship carried enough intelligence and defensive systems to protect itself. When Alina stepped out, she carried no weapon. Only a small tablet and a calm expression. The princes watched from the top of the stairs as she approached their father. The Emperor bowed his head lightly. Welcome to our palace, Commander Reyes. Alina returned the gesture. Thank you for receiving me, Emperor. The princes had expected tension, but instead the atmosphere felt steady, almost peaceful. Alina walked past them, her eyes sharp, taking in everything around her. Renat was surprised when she gave him a small smile as she passed. It made him feel less ashamed, though the guilt still sat heavy on him. Inside the strategy chamber, Alina reviewed the merged scans with the Dominion officers. Her presence was calm, almost reassuring. She pointed at the tightening ring of unknown vessels. They are intelligent, she said. They know how far to keep from our sensors and yours. They also know how to close a trap slowly enough that we won't notice until it's too late. How do you fight such an enemy? Vakar asked. You don't fight them yet, Alina replied. You learn about them first. Identify weakness. Find purpose. Tharo nodded. We must gather more information. Tharo. We. Renat stepped forward suddenly. We have recon probes near the border. Maybe they captured something. Shylock looked at him. Did they? Renat swallowed. I didn't check. There has been too much happening. Then check now. Alina said gently. He hurried to a console and activated the logs. Immediately, images played across the crystal wall, grainy and distorted, but enough to see shapes. The unknown objects looked like smooth, silver ovals with glowing centers. No visible weapons. No markings. No windows. Their motion was precise and coordinated, like they all thought with one mind. The chamber grew quiet. Tharo murmured, I've never seen these before. The Emperor said, They are not from any nearby star nation. Alina's voice lowered. This is not an accidental arrival. They came because of the disturbance your actions caused. She looked at the princes. Your mistake drew them. Here. Vakar felt heat rise on his face. We did this, Shylock whispered. And now, our whole region is at risk. Renat closed his eyes. If we had only spoken first. The Emperor placed a hand on his youngest son's shoulder. Regret is not enough. We must act. Alina straightened. Then here is what we do. Humans will deploy advanced drones to pierce the energy field and study the central structure. The Dominion will provide fleet support, but stay back. If these unknown forces react to us, we need room to maneuver. Tharo nodded. A wise plan. The Emperor agreed. We will follow your lead, Commander. But just as preparations began, a sudden alarm filled the chamber. The entire map flashed red. Vakar shouted, What is happening now? A Dominion officer read the data with shaking hands. The unknown force just accelerated. They are closing the ring completely. They are sealing us inside. Alina leaned over the table, her eyes focused. They are not waiting anymore. Shylock whispered, Are they attacking? Not yet, Alina replied, but they are preparing for something. The Emperor gave a calm but heavy order. All Dominion fleets go to silent alert. Commander Reyes, prepare your drones. Alina nodded. Everyone stay calm. Outside the palace, the sky shimmered with faint silver light as the unknown ring tightened. Humans and Zareths stood together on the same side now, watching a new enemy approach. They had no idea what the intruders wanted, but they were about to find out. The sky above the Zareth palace glowed with a dim silver haze as the unknown formation tightened its trap. Ships shaped like smooth ovals glided across the border of the region, each one humming with silent coordination. They were not rushing. They were not firing. They were only moving closer, making it clear that escape would soon be impossible. Commander Alina Reyes stood in the center of the strategy chamber, studying the hologram. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. The Emperor and his 3 sons stood around her, along with Admiral Tharo and many Zareth officers. Everyone watched the map as if it were a giant heartbeat that was getting faster and faster. One officer said in a shaking voice, "The unknown vessels are now within 1 light minute of full closure." "Then, we don't have much time," Alina replied. Prince Renat stepped closer. "Commander, do you think they know we are preparing to study them?" Joan Treese, "We have now. Our Commander, do you think they know we are preparing to study them?" Alina looked at him. "Yes, they know. These ships observe everything." Vakar frowned. "Then why haven't they attacked?" "Because they're waiting for something," Alina said. "Maybe a signal. Maybe enough pressure. Maybe simply the right moment." Shylock shivered. "This is worse than war. At least with war, you know what to expect." But Alina shook her head. "War isn't the answer here. If they wanted war, they would have fired already." Tharo asked, "So, what do they want?" Alina sighed. "Information, most likely. To understand us. To see how we respond under stress." Renat blinked. "So, like scouts?" "Yes," Alina said softly. "They're scouts. And very advanced ones." The Emperor tapped the table. "Then let us show them that we are not a threat. Perhaps they will open communication." That's. But before anyone could respond, the hologram flickered. The central large object, the heart-like structure at the center of the formation, pulsed brighter than before. A beam of light burst outward, silent and soft, but powerful enough to distort the entire map for a moment. "What was that?" Shylock asked, stepping back. "A signal," Alina said. "They're finally making a move." Outside, the sky shimmered. The beam spread across the region like a transparent wave. It passed over Dominion fleets, over human drones, over the palace itself. No one felt pain. No explosion followed. But every screen inside the chamber went dark for 3 seconds. When they came back on, something new appeared. A message. Not in Zareth language. Not in human language. Instead, shapes and symbols shifted like water, forming patterns none of them recognized. Renat stared. "What does it mean?" Alina watched carefully. "They're testing us. They want to see if we respond." The Emperor looked at his officers. "We cannot read this." "No," Alina agreed. "But we can send a peaceful message back." She typed quickly on her tablet. When she was done, she showed it to the Emperor. "This message contains no language. Only simple mathematical patterns. Anyone advanced enough to travel. The stars will understand." Tharo nodded. "A neutral greeting." Alina sent the message. For a moment, the silver haze outside slowed. The unknown ships paused. The beam from the central structure dimmed. It felt like the entire region was holding its breath. Then, slowly, the symbols on the screen shifted. They rearranged into shapes that resembled numbers. Even Zareth mathematicians could understand the basic idea. Shylock gasped. "They answered." "Yes," Alina said. "And they want to communicate coordinates?" Renat leaned closer. "Coordinates for what?" "A meeting place," Alina whispered. Vakar stared at the hologram. "You mean they want us to come to them?" "Not exactly," Alina said. "They want to meet halfway." The Emperor frowned. "Is it safe?" "No," Alina said honestly. Before the Emperor could reply, the unknown formation shifted again. The outer ring opened by a tiny angle just enough for a single ship to pass through. Not an attack gesture. An invitation. Tharo murmured. "They want to see who we send." The Emperor looked at Alina. You should go. You understand their patterns better than we do. Alina nodded. I will. But I'll take one Dominion representative. This must be a united effort. A. Dord. The Emperor looked at his sons. All three princes straightened. I will go, Renette said quickly, surprising everyone. Vakar blinked. You? Shylock whispered. Renette, why? The youngest prince stood firm. Because I was part of the mistake. I should be part of the solution. I want to show them that the Dominion can learn. The Emperor looked into his eyes and saw honesty. He nodded slowly. Very well. You will accompany Commander Reyes. Alina gave Renat an approving nod. Minutes later, the small human vessel lifted off from the palace landing platform. The Zareths watched from the ground as the sleek black ship carried Alina and Prince Renat toward the shimmering gap in the silver ring. Inside the ship, Renat sat nervously, gripping the seat. Alina stood beside him, watching the closing formation. Do not fear, she said calmly. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to move forward, despite it. Renat swallowed. I only want to fix what we caused. You are doing that, Alina said. The ship passed through the narrow gap. Instantly, the unknown vessels shifted around them. Their silver hulls reflected starlight like mirrors, but they did not attack. They simply guided the Terran craft toward the central structure. When the ship reached the designated spot, the large structure opened like a flower, revealing a glowing chamber of soft blue light. Alina whispered, They want us to enter. Renat took a deep breath. Let's do it. The ship glided into the glowing chamber. A soft wave of energy washed over them, but it caused no pain. Their screens filled with symbols, then changed again. Shapes moved, forming something that resembled words. The display translated slowly. Then, the meaning became clear. We observed conflict. We tested reaction. You chose peace. Renat stared. They approve of us? Alina smiled faintly. Yes. They were here to see if we were dangerous. If we were violent. If we acted without reason. She added softly, We passed their test. The chamber pulsed warmly. A final message appeared. We will leave. You are not a threat. Outside, the silver ring slowly opened. The unknown ships drifted away from the region. One by one, silent and graceful, until all of them vanished into the darkness of space. Back at the Zareth Palace, cheers filled the halls as the readings cleared. Dominion officers cried in relief. The Emperor bowed his head in gratitude, and Vakar and Shylock hugged each other tightly, proud of their brother. When Alina and Renat returned, the Emperor welcomed them with open arms. You have done well, he told his son. You have shown courage and wisdom. Renat smiled shyly. I only followed Commander Reyes. Alina shook her head. You stood with me. That matters. Vakar stepped forward awkwardly. Commander. Thank you. You saved our people. Alina replied gently. Your people saved themselves. Humans only helped. The Emperor extended a hand. Let this be the beginning of peace between our nations. Alina took his hand. It will be. And so, humanity and the Zareth Dominion formed a new bond, not through fear, not through war, but through understanding. The princes, once arrogant and reckless, now carried new wisdom. And the galaxy learned something important. When humans are pushed, they do not answer with destruction. They answer with strength, calmness, and the power to choose peace. The story of the Lost Scouts became a lesson across star systems, a reminder to every empire. Never underestimate humanity. Not because of their weapons, but because of their resolve